Hello, friends. Drawing on his ingenuity. Words be hard. Welcome back. I've not long got back off holiday, and I thought I would do a books that I'm hoping to get through this year, and they're not new release books of 2023. These are books that I want to get through this year. Because obviously I only started reading high fantasy back in 2020 when COVID arrived. So, yeah, it was a nice surprise. So the first book I dove into was Way of Kings, and I absolutely loved it. It was terrifying getting into that book, just the sheer size of it. Now it's kind of like, if a book's not 600 pages, am I gonna be interested in reading it? I like chunkies. But yeah, so I want to get through Words of Radiance, and I think I'm going to put it on my TB for April. And make it like a high priority, but just a leisurely read that I'm going to read maybe overnight or something. Because I would like to get to Earthbringer and Rhythm of War, so I'd like to get that done this year. I'm so excited. So I've got Words of Radiance. That's my number one. Number one of what I want to get through. I want to dive into some science fiction books. So I've actually bought Hail Mary Project Hail Mary. Okay. So reading out loud isn't my strong suit. I'm dyslexic, and I read words backwards, especially when I'm reading out loud. So it's always interesting when I read a synopsis out loud. What the hell's going to come out my bloody mouth? So hopefully this will go well. It just sounds so good. Sounds so good. Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and the earth itself will perish. Except that right now, he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. It just pulls me in. It pulls me in. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very, very long time, and he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home, with nothing but two corpses for company. His crewmate's dead, his memories fuzzily returning. Ryland realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on this tiny ship, it's up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction-level threat to our species. And with the clock ticking down and the nearest human being light years away, he's got to do all alone. Or does he? That's high on my list. I'm so excited to read that. By Andy Weir. There's another one I want to read as well by this author. So excited for that. That just sounds so bloody great. Space. Anything in space and anything in a fantasy land, you will drag me straight in. I'm interested. The Martin. That's the other one. The Martin. So I think I bought the Martin first. I was just curious about it. And not long after, I bought Project Hail Mary, and I thought I'll get through this year. I really want to read it. It's sat over there on my shelf. I'm so excited. So this one, 6 days. Start again. 6 days ago, astronaut Mark Watney became one of the first people to walk on Mars. Now, he's sure he'll be the first person to die there. After a dust storm nearly kills him and forces his crew to evacuate while thinking him dead, Mark finds himself stranded and completely alone, with no way to even signal Earth that he's alive. And even if he could get word out, his supplies would be gone long enough before a rescue could arrive. Chances are, though, he won't have time to starve to death. The damaged machinery, unforgiving environment. The damaged machinery, yeah. The damaged machinery, unforgiving environment, and plain old human error are much more likely to kill him first. But Mark isn't ready to give up yet. Drawing on his drawing on his ingenuity, his engineering skills, and a relentless, dogged refusal to quit, he steadfastly confronts one seemingly insurmountable obstacle after the next. Will his resourcefulness be enough to overcome the impossible odds against him? Can I just say that word ingenuity got me badly. I think my dyslexia is on another level today. That was funny. Yeah, so that is another high priority sci-fi that I want to get to. Book 4. Well, there's no particular order in what I'm doing this, but the next book on that list is Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion. I read Legendborn in the new year, like I think it was between Christmas and New Year, and I didn't know what to expect from it, but I loved it. I loved every second of that book. King Arthur retelling. If you're not familiar with Legendborn, it's about a girl called Brie who's not long lost her mother, and she's struggling with it. So she goes to school where her mother went to school, not realizing there's a magic system that she has. Said magic. She goes into a frat house, the secret order. It's a secret order. And she ends up becoming close with, I think his name was Will. What's his name? Nick. Where am I getting Will from? So she becomes quite close with Nick, who is the son of the guy who runs the order in this area. And Nick is supposed, without any spoilers, is very important in this club. And what I think the actual bloodline of it stems from Arthur and the Knights. So they have a pretty big role. There's an order. There's a secret order based around King Arthur and the Knights. And essentially she gets into this order after her mother dies in an accident. 16-year-old Brie Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape until Brie witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies, a secret society of so-called Legendborn students that hunt the creatures down. A mysterious teenager mage who calls himself a Merlin and who attempts and fails to wipe Brie's memory of everything she saw. The mage's failure unlocks Brie's own unique magic and a buried memory with a hidden connection. The night her mother died, her Merlin was at the hospital. Now that Brie knows there's more to her mother's death than what's on the police report, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if that means infiltrating the Legendborn as one of their initiates. She recruits Nick, a self-exiled Legendborn, with his own grudge against the group, and their reluctant partnership pulls them deeper into the society's secrets and closer to each other. But when the Legendborn reveal themselves as the descendants of King Arthur's knights and explain that a magical war is coming, Bree has to decide how far she will go for the truth and whether she should use her magic to take the society down or join the fight. Without even reading the synopsis, there's not much. There's not much in the sense of King Arthur that I've come across in the fantasy world. There's probably loads, I just haven't come across them yet. And if there are, feel free to comment down below. I'd love to read them. But I give it 4 stars, and I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story between Bree, Nick, and Solomon. Solomon? Is that his name? Sal? Is that his name? The mage, or the Merlin. The story itself really interests me. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to getting to, and I have it here, getting to Bloodmarked. I won't read the synopsis because I don't want to spoil if anyone hasn't read Legendborn. But that is high on my list to shoot through. Okay. So the next book that I would like to get through is another continued series. I need to commit to these series, man. But it's one of my favourite books. Well, one of my favourite series. The Red Rising series. I read Red Rising last year, I think. And I didn't think I was gonna like it. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of when I had to do a book report on Lord of the Flies. And also, it's got elements of Hunger Games. It's only a lot more sci-fi, a lot more, in my opinion. And I don't wanna diss the Hunger Games because I love that series, but it also, in my opinion, is better than the Hunger Games. There's just so much more going on. So I was pleasantly surprised by how much I loved Red Rising. Golden Sun as well. That was a fantastic book. That was the second book. I was afraid of reading the second book in Red Rising because, you know, when you read a really, really good start to a book, because normally I like the second books in a series. Normally the first book doesn't always do it for me. And I love this book so much that when I read the second one, I was really scared that I was going to hate it. Surprisingly, I really enjoyed the second book. It was very... It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was completely different to what the direction I thought it was going to go in. My bad reading skills again. Okay, so it says, I live for the dream that my children will be born free, she says. That they will be what they like, that they will own the land their father gave them. I live for you, she says, sadly. Io kisses my cheek, then you must live for more. Darrow is a red, a member of the lowest castle in the colour-coded society of the future. Like his fellow Reds, he works all day, believing that he and his people are making the surface of Mars livable for future generations. Yet he spends his life willingly knowing that his blood and sweat will one day result in a better world for his children. But Darrow and his kind have been betrayed. Soon he discovers that humanity already reached the surface generations ago. Vast cities and sprawling parks spread across the planet. Darrow and the Reds like him are nothing more than slaves to a decaded ruling class. Inspired by a longing for justice and driven by the memory of lost love, Darrow sacrifices everything to infiltrate the legendary Institute, a proving ground for the dominant Gold Castle, where the next generation of humanity's overlords struggle for power. He will be forced to compete for his life and the future of civilization against the best and most brutal of society's ruling class. There, he will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if it means he has to become one of them to do so. I get chills reading that. I love this book. I absolutely love this book. I will want to do a reread of it at some point. I ended up buying the paperback because I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I love hardbacks. If I can get a book in a hardback, I will. I don't care about, and it's expensive, I know, but I don't care. I love hardbacks. But because I was so skeptical about this, I didn't think I was going to like it, I bought it in paperback. So the minute I got addicted to this book and I loved it, and off I went and got a hardback, which was actually harder to find at that time for some reason than I think it is now. I'm not sure, but yeah, Morning Star again. It's up there. I've got a lot to get through, guys. A lot. Okay, the next book or series I would like to get through this year is The Poppy War, and I've heard so much all over booktube about this book. The majority of people have really high opinions of it, so that makes me want to read it more. Plus, I love anything fantasy, history of cultures that I'm not familiar with. I really want to be familiar with, because it interests me all that more, and I love learning about other cultures as well. So Poppy War is up there. I really want to read Poppy War along with Babel. I want to read Babel as well. I've not read much dark academia books, so I really want to read Babel, which is by the same author. When Rin aced the Kiju, the empire-wide test to find the most talented youth to learn at the academy. I give up on my reading skills today. At the academies, it was a shock to everyone. To the test officials, who couldn't believe a war orphan from Rooster province could pass without cheating. To Rin's guardians, who believed they'd finally be able to marry her off and further their criminal enterprise, and to Rin herself, who realised she was finally free of the servitude and despair that had made up her daily existence, that she got into Singard, the most elite military school for Nikan, was even more surprising. If I'm pronouncing any of these words awfully, I am very sorry. I'm really sorry. And if anyone wants to help me pronounce them, that would be great. My pronunciation is awful. Awful. Because being a dark-skinned peasant girl from the south is not an easy thing in Singard. Targeted from the outset by rival classmates for her colour, poverty and gender, Rin discovers she possesses a lethal, unearthly power, an aptitude for the nearly mythical art of shamanism, an aptitude for the nearly mythical art of shamanism. Please help me with these pronunciations. Exploring the depths of her gift with the help of a seemingly insane teacher and psychoactive substance, Rin learns that gods long thought dead are very much alive, and that mastering control over these powers could mean more than just surviving school. Again, very high on my list. I look forward to it. This book I want to talk about. And again, it's another one that's high on my priority list. And I know I'm saying they're all high priority, but I think the main ones would be Word of Radiance and this book, which I need to read. I'm not even going to say one. I need to read, because there's a second one coming out this year. It might even be released. So the next book that I want to read is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. And I love Samantha Shannon. I love The Bone Season. That is probably one, if not my favourite series. I'm up to The Mask Falling, which is another book I want to get around to reading. But The Bone Season, love it. If you haven't read it, give it a go. Get through the world building of 200. It's like 200 pages of world building, but there's a lot going on. You're learning a lot about the story and the characters. I promise you it is worth it. It's worth it. Bear with it. Same with The Way of Kings. Bear with it. Great things. A world divided, a queen... a world divided, a queendom without her heir. An ancient enemy awakens. The house of Berethna has ruled Inus for 1,000 years. Still unwed, Queen Sabran the Ninth must conceive a daughter to protect her realm from destruction, but assassins are getting closer to her door. Ed Duran is an outsider at court. Though she has risen to the position of lady-in-waiting, she is loyal to a hidden society of mages. Ida keeps a watchful eye on Sabran, secretly protecting her with forbidden magic. Across the dark sea, Thane has trained to be a dragon rider since she was a child, but is forced to make a choice that could see her life unravel. Meanwhile, the divided East and West refuse to parley, and forces of chaos are rising from their sleep. Excuse me. So that, right, that sounds amazing. I've got to read this book. Book 2 is out. Is it soon? It could be out before I get this video out. And it is high on my list. I've got so much to get through. So much. The next one I'm going to name is Ninth House by Leah Bardugo. This is another one I've been wanting to read for a while. I actually have it, the second book, which the name is escaping me, which is really annoying. But yeah, it's not high priority, but I would really like to read that this year. Yeah, so that was my books I want to get through in 2023. The main ones, anyway. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.